Well, it's Friday at 4 o'clock, which means it's time for the segment that is so hot, my grandmother rubs it on her aching joints. It's Upset Alert. Now, Coach, you don't need to pick outright wins, just upsets, just alerts. It helps if you pick an outright win like I did at Cardinals Cowboys last week when I was like looking at the camera. But you can do whatever you want.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
You know, last time I did this, I picked an epically bad pick in the Raiders over the Buffalo Bills.
That was rough.
It was an 8-point favorite, but I felt good about it. And I'm doubling down on the Raiders again.
No, more McDaniels.
You just feel like they got to win.
The Raiders are not jossing around. Jacobs is going to get rolling this weekend. Can we look at Josh Jacobs' numbers, please? Can we please pull up Josh Jacobs of old versus Josh?
Who doesn't even want to?
Look at this. So in 2022, he's at a 4.9 yard a carry average. He's at 2.4 right now with no rush TDs. It's like he's been in the witness protection program, but they're going to get it figured out. They're going to get it figured out this weekend. Whether or not Jimmy G is playing or not playing, it's going to be the Josh Jacobs show.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
What?
Do you feel better about this if Jimmy G doesn't play?
No, I would rather
might.
Jimmy G play than not play.
Okay, well,
I think he's counting on Brandon Staley going for 4th and 14.
okay, that's not what he does.
From the 4-yard, from their own 4. I think he's counting on
well,
that.
I don't
3
hate
minutes
this
left
pick.
to play.
But the whole hey, our guy can hold out all through training camp, and he's at the gym, and he's working hard. He knows how to get himself ready. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like, you got to be in camp.
That's true.
But so
that's what I like this.
So do you think now those first few weeks were like his training camp, and he'll be back to who he was?
Yeah, I think it's hard to get ready to play football without playing some sort of football. I mean, Chris Jones, and even though Nick didn't want to pay him.
I did want to pay him. Don't you put that out
Chargers
there.
got to win.
He's like,
this,
hey,
though,
Nick
Coach.
Jones, you don't
Chris
matter.
Jones.
Or
No,
Chris
that's
Jones.
not what I thought.
Nick,
This is a must-win.
That's how insulting it was. He used to call him Nick Jones.
No,
he didn't
that's
even
not
know his
true.
name.
That's not true.
It's
Go ahead.
so embarrassing.
I think it's a must-win for the Chargers, though. That's what I'm with the Chargers.
Flip it.
I mean, their coach is on the hot seat.
that.
Should've put
All
it
right,
in
my
that dumb
must-win.
segment.
If you see the bottom line, a little play on words if it ever gets up there. Dolphins too much for Bills.
Ooh.
I don't know if we're doing puns in this segment, are we?
Yeah, we throw them in here and there. All right, I said it earlier. You heard my reasoning. I think Miami has Buffalo's number. Last year, they had no business playing them tough. Buffalo was rolling, had won 7 straight games to end the season, and Miami is down to their 3rd-string quarterback and almost beat them in the playoffs, all right, obviously in Buffalo. So I just think that Tua's going to come out, have a big game. They not only pass it well, Coach, they run it well, obviously, as Denver. So, I like Buffalo. But I think Miami is rolling, and they're going to get this game.
Can I ask a question?
I'm just going to throw one word out before you ask it, because this might answer for you. Or 2 words.
Okay.
Maybe 3. I am objective.
Okay. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
That should have answered it.
If you're right about this, and the Dolphins win, and they get to 4-0 with 2 divisional victories, and the Bills get to 2-2 with 2 divisional losses, including a head-to-head loss at home to Miami, how are the Bills going to win the division as you promised, and how are the Dolphins going to miss the playoffs?
No, when Aaron Rodgers went down,
you switched the Dolphins.
I said the Dolphins are in accordance with the bylaws.
But you still have the Bills.
The Dolphins
you have the Bills winning the division. So how's that going to happen?
Look, you make the playoffs. It doesn't matter to me if you win the division.
Okay.
Just get in the tournament. Get in the tournament.
Bro, we should just start doing our playoff picks in October so you can just have one.
You are about to bail on your Super Bowl pick in the next show. The next show.
I'm not worried about that.
Excellent job, bro. And although you were on the graphic,
objective.
it's time to put the butts in the seats. It's time for the Puxatawny Phil of football to make his upset alert. You know that I was halfway right last week.
You were not. You picked Washington, and they lost by 30.
35% right last week.
How?
Because I was winking at the camera. I said, Dallas, Arizona, watch out.
Okay.
It was an alert. It's kind of like one real pick, one kind of junior varsity pick. But now the Puxatawny of football is going to go on the record and say that the Patriots will outright beat the Cowboys. And I know you're thinking, wow, just quickly in your head, you have all these reasons why it's not going to happen. I researched those, and I would like to change your mind. First up, Mac versus Dak. Well, Dak is much better than Mac Jones, right? I mean, kind of, like a little bit, like, 2 percentage points in the completion passes, but Mac's got more touchdowns, and the passer rating maybe, basically the same. It's like looking in the mirror. America's team on both sides. Then you got, how about Micah Parsons? He's like Lawrence Taylor. The Patriots don't have anybody. Well, hold on a second. What about Matthew Judon with his red sleeves?
That's interesting.
These look, what the heck? I've been lied to by the national media. That I thought Micah Parsons was just great. Also, on the bottom, you don't see it. It says podcast 1-0. So I guess no one cares about Matthew Judon. How about the defense overall? Well, it's got to be the Cowboys. Remember, the Cowboys have such a dominant defense. I can't stop talking about Dan Quinn. Oh, he should be a head coach. But the Dallas played some tomato cans, and meanwhile, the Patriots defense had to play Jalen Hurts, held him to 170 yards, and Tua, who only scored 1 touchdown, 1 passing touchdown. They actually did pretty good against us, but moral of the story, they didn't score 70 points. So moral of the story, Patriots outright over Dallas. Nick, just admit,
what?
Some of those graphics were like,
I knew Judon was great.
Was that good?
I knew
Mac
Judon was
Jones
great.
has thrown
I know
5
Mac Jones has thrown for a lot of garbage time
Feels like they
yards
played
because they were trailing the entirety of the first 2 games.
Play the Giants. They played the
Garbage
Dolphins.
time yards. He was bringing the
They
team.
played some tough games.
Bringing the team what?
Philly was a
Bringing
close
the team
game.
what?
He was putting the team in a position to potentially win against the Dolphins or win against tie
They had
the
a
Dolphins
couple of
and
tough
win against
losses.
the
They
Eagles.
were down 16-0 and 10-0 in both of those games.
And what happened?
And
Stormed
back to lose. That's what they did. They stormed back to lose.
That's true.
This would be, and this is why I think Wildes just needs to abandon his love for dirty Mac Jones. This would be the best win of his career.
Yeah, we're due.
We're 3 years in, and you guys don't even think the Cowboys are that great.
We beat the Bills at home.
That Mac threw 3 passes. That was not it.
They were really
Leadership.
good passes, though.
Great. Still got the win.
Nick, can we get
You ready for Nick's picks? Nick's picks
some
is hot.
seriousness? Listen,
You rebounded
We had
last
a
week.
rough
Needed it.
start to the year.
Needed it.
0-3 first week wasn't great. 1-2 the next week kind of got our bearings. But last week we did what we're going to do the rest of the year. A nice, tidy, winning week. Don't worry about the fact that I had the Broncos in a game
3-6.
they lost by 50. The other ones were great. It doesn't matter. That's the great thing about gambling. It doesn't. You can lose by half point, lose by 50. It's the same penalty. The Steelers won outright. The Patriots won outright. See, and listen. There is no biases, loyalties. It's just the smart bet. That's why I could go with the New England Patriots last week. Pittsburgh, we're going with them for the 4th consecutive week.
Wow.
This is the first time they are favorites. They are 2.5-point favorites against the Houston Texans, a Texans team that right now I feel is a touch overvalued because of how well they performed in the game we just saw against Houston. Against Jacksonville, pardon me. Furthermore, Houston is down to 3 third-string offensive linemen plus a backup offensive lineman against T.J. Watt and that Mike Tomlin defense. And one other point on this, the Steelers, I feel, are going to be undervalued for the next few weeks because the offense looked so bad the first few weeks of the year against San Francisco and Cleveland, which might have the best 2 defenses in the league outside of course, Kansas City. And so for all those reasons, I'm only laying 3 points. I get Mike Tomlin to get to 3-1. I'm taking the Steelers laying the 2.5. This next bet is a square bet. It is a bad bet, but it's going to pay. The Chiefs laying 8.5. I know what you're thinking. The Chiefs don't cover big spreads, and historically, they don't. They actually had been 0-5 as touchdown plus favorites up until last week when they annihilated the Bears. But this is not 8.5-point spread because historically, for the Chiefs to cover 8.5, it means they're going to have to score 35, 38 points. To cover 8.5 this week, they might only have to score 9. And because of that, I like that spot. I like the fact that you are going to have a dominant Chiefs defensive performance, that we know Travis Kelce is going to get in the end zone because his friend is going to be in the stands cheering alongside his mother, and we're going to see very excited shots of Taylor Swift, very sad shots of Aaron Rodgers, and then we're going to hear Chris Collinsworth talking about, Jawan Taylor fixed that problem. That wasn't even a problem, but I got the whole league turned against him. The Chiefs lay the points. And then lastly, Monday Night Football. This line started with Seattle getting a 1.5. They're now laying a 1.5, so it's 3 points of negative line value. Don't care. You know why? Don't have many more opportunities to bet against Daniel Jones in prime time, because next year, don't think the Giants are going to be in a bunch of those prime time games. He's 1-12 in his career straight up in prime time. Pete Carroll, meanwhile, is one of the best primetime coaches against the spread. In fact, the best of the last 24 years. 34-18. Seattle is better than people think. They've scored 37 in back-to-back games, which is crazy considering their quarterback is, quote, a pumpkin, according to, quote, Chris Broussard. And listen, Tariq Woolen is back, and Jamal Adams, his first game back since game 1 of last year, so they get him back. Seattle on national television beats the Giants. So there it is. We're taking 3 favorites. We rarely do that. The Steelers -2.5, the Chiefs -8.5, and Seattle -1.5. That's a 3-0 week. That gets us to 500 for the year, and we start rolling.
Pretty good. I think you're wrong about Patriots Cowboys, but that's 3-0.
Oh.
I might lay some money on that.
Oh, okay. Couple units?
Well, $6.
Okay.
Bounce back game for Joe Burrow. Next, first things first.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.